So when Level 3B got in touch with us and said, hey, InnRoads had some really nice things to say about our last bags in our Kickstarter, we're starting another one. Would you want to see the new design? I had one response, and it took about a couple seconds for me to get it out there. Yes. Absolutely yes. Please, please, please send me the new design. I want to take a look at it. And they did. And I have it, and I have some things to say about it. But before we get into that, I think I need to just put some things out there, partly as a full disclosure kind of thing, because this is a review, but also just to give you an explanation as to why I'm going to have some really nice things to say. Not only because of the product, but because of Level 3B. So when we were starting out in the early days of InnRoads, we basically were doing what most people do when they have a large amount of games to bring all over the place to different game days. We just grabbed as many different bags, and at some point I had some steamer trunks that I was using. We used whatever containers we had because that's just what you do. And what we quickly discovered, like many other people did, was that has mixed results. We were constantly bringing our stuff from place to place, and some stuff got shifted in travel, and some stuff got damaged in travel, and we realized very quickly that really wasn't going to work. It was right around that time that Level 3B came up with their very first Kickstarter for the game Canopy, and at the time there really wasn't a whole lot of people doing this. This was before, you could buy all sorts of cool gaming accessories. It was before all this, third-party stuff started happening, and so we were very excited, and we contacted them and said, hey, we are a nonprofit, and we really want to try and see how much money we can raise and, see how many bags that can get us. Let's make a deal. Before we knew it, we were actually talking with them about quite a bit, actually. It was fun because they had heard of us, even though we were very, very small. And we were very excited to talk about what kind of a thing we could make here. That there was the potential for something more than just a business transaction where we got some bags. We ended up raising quite a bit of money, actually. Our community was very stoked about the idea of helping us get our stuff from place to place safely and easily. And so we ordered a bunch of bags. And in the process, we got to talking, and they said, hey, what kind of color scheme do you want? Because they offer a lot of them. And I said, well, there really isn't a color scheme that fits our motif. And they said, well, what is it? And I said, well, we do a lot of tavern stuff and inn stuff, and so it's a lot of wood tones and tans and browns. So y'all, they went out and got us specific fabric for our bags. You literally can't find this other than our bags. And it was really cool, and it started our relationship with Level 3B. We love these folks, and I want to get that out there in case you think that this is kind of tainted or somehow colored my view of their product. I will have plenty of wonderful things to say about their product, but I want that just to be out there. Not only do they make a very good product, this is Kickstarter, and as you might have heard, Kickstarter doesn't always come with the best reputation, not because of Kickstarter, but just because you can't always trust the people on the other end. Level 3B is full of awesome, wonderful people, and they do awesome and wonderful things. So yes, part of why I'm doing this is because we really like the folks at Level 3B, but that's actually part of my review. When you back their Kickstarter, because it has already funded as I'm finishing this video, you're gonna get a good product, and you're gonna get it at a reasonable amount of time. And if you don't, they're gonna fix it and make it better. Now I can go on just talking about the original product, not only because they did the special cool stuff for us, but because the original product is great. The game Canopy is fantastic. I've had our bags literally out in the rain and had not a single drop of water touch my cardboard. I've had my bags bounced around the back of my car literally across state lines, and not even a single bit got moved because they're padded and really well constructed. I've had all manner of crazy things happen to my game canopies, and at worst, there's this tiny smudge on like one of them. These things have been through all sorts of ridiculous punishment over the years we've done InnRoads and since we've gotten these bags. I've had them, our boy Daniel has them, and Sean has them. So multiple people in our ministry have at least one of these bags as part of the means of getting themselves to and from every event that we run. So part of this I want to say is that the Kickstarter, you can go back and get the 2 earlier designs of their bags. You can get both the game canopy, which is the one that we have. You can also get the smaller version, which is the Vanguard. But all of these are options in the campaign. But the big attraction, the new design, the one that I got to see and got really, really excited about, is a version called the Deep Space Bag. Now, Deep Space Bag, you can, kind of judge by just the name alone what that means. It means that you can put all your big box titles. Now, I'd love to demonstrate with Gloomhaven because, let's just face it, Gloomhaven has become the gold standard in giant boxes. I sadly don't own a copy of Gloomhaven, so I can't demonstrate that. What I can demonstrate, however, is my bag holding Hero Quest, Fireball Island, Eclipse, and Ice Cool with a bonus Onitama because I still had more room. All of those games have been the bane of my existence. I've wanted to take Fireball Island to everything because it's Fireball Island, people. But that game box is downright infamous at this point, not only for being huge, but for being, flimsy and delicate. And so it's really hard for me to justify busting that out in the back of the car when I couldn't really fit it, because even the game canopy, you could kind of fit sideways and put some stuff in there, but it just couldn't handle something like Fireball Island. Thus, we get the Deep Space Bag. I fit all of that in there, and there was still a lot of room. I also didn't even touch. There are something that is new for this bag are there's 2 kind of pockets in the front pouch. Now, the game canopy, the original design, had 2 outer pockets that could fit like really tiny games, like copies of The Mind or other kind of really small box games. But the pockets in the front kind of flap of the Deep Space Bag are huge. Like, really, really large. Now, yeah, you're still not going to fit like your full-size board games in there, but you can really get some nice medium-sized games in there, or a crap ton of smaller games, or literally the entire Button Shy, catalog. You can fit so much in there on top of all the big box games. When they say deep space, they really mean it, folks. So, these are all the things I'm going to say that are positive. Again, huge amount of room in the Deep Space Bag. I will say that I really like the addition of the inside pockets because, when you are dealing with smaller games, that is a thing that the game canopy doesn't really have. It has the outside pockets, but those are subject to the wind and the rain and whatever. But the inside pockets really do a great job of giving it all the protection of the rest of the games that you're carrying while still being able to really get a hold on your smaller boxes and your smaller envelopes. I have nothing but good things to say about the materials and the craftsmanship. I said that about the game canopy itself. It still holds true to the Deep Space Bag. I love the feel of it. I love the look of it. Now, granted, in the pictures, you'll notice that I have one of the just unlocked color schemes, but I also really, really like it, and I'm just going to throw it out there. In this Kickstarter, they have some interesting new colors that are specifically for the Kickstarter. They also have an option for a dice tower bag, which, when they told me about the Kickstarter at the beginning, they told me about the superhero kind of color schemes, but they didn't tell me about the dice tower bags, and it's really interesting that you can kind of rep the dice tower, and that's really cool too. So I have nothing but good things to say about that. I do have to be honest though. And it's the same thing I said when the game Canopy first got out there. It's the same thing that I did on forums and all of our stuff talking about these bags. For your average person, if you're looking for economy, these bags are not your thing. It was one thing when they first did the Kickstarter. When they did their very first one, there weren't a whole lot of options out there. Now, because, you know, business is business, there are other people making bags. If you want a nice cheap bag that is pretty good at getting your stuff around, I'm gonna point you to these guys. Board Game Tables have a game bag that you can literally get for like $40. The game Canopy, the Deep Space game Canopy, it's $170 right now. It's even more if you get it retail. So if you're counting your pennies and this, let's just be honest, counting your dollars at this point, this isn't your bag. There are more economical bags out there, and I have to be honest about that. There have been a couple of times when people have said, should I buy level 3B? And I'm like, for what you do, maybe you got other options. But let's double back. Because if you're like us, if you're constantly bringing a bunch of games out to game night, if you are traveling at all, if you're taking stuff to conventions, these things are even designed to kind of go along with those rolly carts. So I'd say that if the extent of your traveling is to, you know, the other side of town to go to your buddy's place to play game night, this isn't your bag. I'm just gonna say it. You're good with just an IKEA bag or a Cajon bag or the Board Game Tables bag. There's lots of options for you. But if you travel to conventions, if you are traveling to a lot of different events, if you run stuff, because here's one thing that I'm gonna kind of close up with. If you run events, you need this bag, and I'll tell you why. We roll up with these bags, and everyone notices them. Everyone talks about them. Everyone points out how great they are and how wonderful. And every time that happens, I say, well, it's the folks at Level 3B. They make a phenomenal gaming bag. These things make a statement, and they tell people that you're serious about what you're doing, even if what you're doing is pointing foam guns at each other with cash and guns. So this bag isn't going to be for everybody. But if it is for you, it comes highly recommended. I beat mine up. I have traveled literally across the country with mine. And for my dollar, I really would not recommend anything else for quality and for safety of your games. If you want another bag, there are options. But man, I personally love the Level 3B bags. And there's plenty of time to get in there. I'm going to have the link down at the Kickstarter for the Level 3B Kickstarter. But I'm also, because in all fairness, I'm just going to put it out there, if you are, like I am at the moment, strapped for cash and really need to watch your pennies, I'll even put the board game bags link there in case that's what you're looking for. If you're looking for economy, that's a great choice. If you're looking for quality, you really can't go wrong with this Kickstarter. You've got about 20 days to get on that. Even if you don't want to get the big deep space, you can pick up the other designs. They are just as good and will carry most games if they're the standard game box size. Check out the Kickstarter. Tell them InnRoads Ministries sent you, and just say hi, because again, they're really fantastic people.